All right, you're tuned into MMA Canada and very excited to be talking to an individual ready to compete as part of Contender Series, which goes down on August the 20th. And we're about a week away from this fight as Cortavious Romious takes on Michael Imperato. And great getting to have Michael on the MMA Canada platform to talk a bit. How are you doing, Michael?
Unbelievable. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good, man. I understand you've been out in Vegas for a little bit now. Like, I mean, you've obviously been there before for training purposes, but how long have you been here in this most recent stint, I guess?
We're supposed to land on August 4th, and then the plane got canceled, so we got here on the 5th. So been here since last Monday.
Yeah, and how has the work been out there? Like, I understand you've been getting in some great work as always. I mean, it's such a great space. Like, I think Syndicate is an area you've been honing the skills at, and you've been in there before cornering your buddy Malcolm Gordon, but has like Syndicate been the primary space you've been working, or where have you been largely sharpening those tools, I guess?
Yeah, I basically just spent my time at Syndicate. The Shapiro brothers took over the jiu-jitsu program there, and I knew them. I've known them for a long time. Come from the same team. Their coach and my coach are both black belts under Mark Lehman. So we've been friends for 18 years. And then they became over there, and John Wood always the owner allows us to train. So, when I come here, I always visit there. This time, I just all the time there, a lot of good, and it's just what we've been doing for now.
Yeah, and I mean, what a whirlwind kind of experience this has been. I was actually just watching an interview you did for the All Star with John Hyun Ko, and as much as there's like so much going into this fight, like you seem very, I guess, measured and composed, all things considered. Like you're kind of like, oh, just another fight and everything like that. Like obviously a big moment, but it seems like the temperament is pretty even and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the biggest fight of my life. It doesn't matter who they put in front of me. It's just something I have to do, right? So whatever it was, it's gonna have to get dealt with. I signed up for this. No one forced me to do it. Just there's no reason to shy away from it or put pressure on myself. I'm gonna go there and give my best, give my all. I'm in great shape. I prepared for this moment for a while, and in my eyes, it was going to happen sooner or later. A lot of people didn't believe it, but I did. So I'm just ready. I'm going to go in there and shock the world. It'll be fun.
And that's right on the wavelength of what I was going to ask you because you had a prior opportunity that didn't ultimately end up coming to fruition with the UFC, but you touched on it there. I mean, you always had that belief that it would manifest and happen, even though maybe some people around you didn't always think that. Like, it must be trying to think of the word for it. Like it must be, I guess, like vindicating in some sort of way or validating or maybe something of that persuasion to, I guess, finally be on the precipice of this moment that you always figured would kind of end up coming around again.
Yeah, I mean, in my eyes, it was inevitable. If it wasn't here, it wouldn't be anywhere else. For me, it was always UFC or nothing. So I had a lot of offers. Locally and promotions helped me out a lot. And the last one was kind of just to settle a beef. And then that guy pulled out. And then that, for me, that was kind of it. And if this happened, great. And if this didn't happen, then great. I was ready to move on. But I just know that I got to try everything, anything, and I couldn't go to sleep unless I did that, right? So now we're here. We made it, and I got one more stepping stone, and that's going to determine the future. So
Yeah, and a lot to talk about with the upcoming fight for sure, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Ricky Bandejas fight because I feel like in a lot of ways that went as ideal as it could have been in a certain sense. I mean, just getting that quick submission finish, sub 1 minute, and that Unified MMA 55 showcase. And I was actually there for that January card in Toronto. I felt like that got one of the, I guess, more kind of raucous reactions from the crowd. Can you kind of just talk about all the factors that encompassed that fight and that night overall, I guess?
yeah, that fight, man, there's a lot there for sure. But yeah, I had one opponent that was supposed to fight. They gave me 10 weeks to prep for that fight. I thought the guy was crazy. I told the promoter, he's not going to show up, and they kept telling me he was. I bought a bunch of tickets up front. So prepaid them all, got some money from all the people, family and friends. I had no choice but to fight. So I was already deep, I was already in it. I put a lot of things on hold. Um, and I just wanted to perform for everybody. And in my eyes, that may have been the last one. So, I trained my ass off for that one. And again, wherever they gave me, I was going to do it. And Ricky came up. It was a great fight, great opportunity. A lot of people see him taking it on short notice, but he was actually scheduled to fight a week or two prior. And against Wilson Hayes, and Wilson missed weight. So really high level jiu-jitsu black belt. So Ricky was preparing for a guy like me, where I wasn't preparing for a guy like him. So that just makes it all that much better. And then the odds, not that I care about them, but he was a big favor. I had a lot of friends show up, put money on me, and the pressure, none of that mattered. I was just going there to give my best performance in front of everybody. And again, it is what it is. I always leave it in there. I always leave it all on the line. But if I'm in great shape, I'm very dangerous. And that fight, I was in great shape. And then, it was just surreal. There were so many moments that came into play. Dana White showed up. The Dana White Looking for a Fight was supposed to air. I don't know what happened to that. I was expecting to see it by now. But that happened. He was there. They signed me right after. They gave me this opportunity. So I was able to perform in front of them, family, friends. Great performance, of course. Went in there untouched. And yeah, I couldn't plan that either, right? I was expecting a war, and who knows how it was going to go. I just knew I had to win. So one way or the other, I was coming on top of that one. But hats off to Ricky for taking it. A lot of people underestimate me in the game for a long time, and that's because I just take fights whenever, wherever, whoever. Not really in shape, and I was just dying to get back to the UFC. So I made a little bit of mistakes there. So that kind of reflects on my record, but that record doesn't reflect on me. So now we're here, and now I give it everything again, and I put a lot of things on hold again, and this is the one. So we're gonna make this one special. It should be good.
I feel like if anything, that probably made an impression and kind of behooved you in a sense, just taking on someone who I guess had that prior name value from Bellator, and the fact that it was, both of you guys shifting ultimately, like you said. Ricky had a fight lined up around that point, as did you, against a stylistically different opponent, and the body type was different. If anything, all those factors considered probably behooved you to, I guess, get noticed by that sort of platform, like Looking for a Fight. Even though didn't end up airing as of yet, from what we can tell, got you on Contender Series, so kind of worked out in that sense.
Yeah, so you cut off there at the end a little bit.
Oh no, I was just kind of saying it kind of worked out in that sense. Like, it got you on the Contender Series platform ultimately, even though Looking for a Fight has not seemed to have aired as of yet.
Yeah, so it was a big difference for me. Tall striker against a short wrestler, and I don't think they're there for me. I think they're there for other people, or just to put on a show for their content. And then I believe Frank Yeager showed up, and I believe they were there looking at Ricky, and I kind of flipped that script. So who knows what came from it, and who knows what's going to come from it. If it plays, I'm excited to see it, and if not, I got a fight to focus on next week. So we'll just make that one happen.
Yeah, and what have you been able to, I guess, pick up from tape study that you've done on your opponent? Like, it seems like from that John Hyun Ko interview that I referenced, it seems like you see your opponent as pretty well-rounded, all things considered. I think you specifically had shouted out his wrestling, if memory serves. Like, what are your thoughts on just what your opponent, Cortavious Romious, brings to the table in this upcoming fight?
Yeah, nothing I've never seen before. He's a little shorter than I am. Again, you don't really know much from the breakdown or the description of them, the fight card introduction. But in pictures he looks a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter. He's in shape. He has good striking. He comes forward, he puts the pressure. He has good wrestling, and I think he has okay ground. Again, I've seen all of that before, and we'll fight fire with fire. You want to step up, then we can stand and bang. We can do whatever, But I think it's a very good fight for me. And again, I don't really watch any of my opponents. I leave that tape study to my coach up my whole career. But now it's like my answer to Sean Shelby when he reached out. It just was he asked if the name was good, if I'm in, and I just said whoever you give me is good for me. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'll see you on the 20th. So at this point, didn't matter who it was, what it was. They can change last minute. none of it matters. I also booked my stay until September 4th. There's a show 2 weeks later and a show 3 weeks later. Not that I ever want anyone to get injured, but sometimes people get injured, sometimes people pull out, sometimes people think it's a bad fight. Sometimes medicals, travel issues. So my hope is to go get this contract and stick around and then fight whoever they need me to and at whatever weight, right? So I'm at the point in my career where I just gotta go put my skills on the line and make a bang, make a little splash over here and try and get the most out of it that I could.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. It'd be cool if that worked out in a sense. Like you never want to wish someone to get injured per se, but just making yourself available if a vacancy were to pop up, I guess, right?
Of course.
And I guess like, I mean, I've been hearing rumblings too that UFC is looking to come through Edmonton. I mean, it's not like your immediate neck of the woods per se, but still in Canada. And I think I was also seeing that it would be the first card that the UFC has done with the newly amended rule set that they're using where the 12-6 elbows are allowed and stuff like that. So kind of interesting in that sense. Just to say it seems like there would be some options going ahead for you, I guess.
Yeah, so I heard rumors too. I'm not sure. I don't know much about that. I do have a lot of friends in Edmonton, and I have fought in Calgary a lot, so I have a lot of fans out there. As well as some of my students. So for me, I would love to fight there. Anywhere in Canada would be great. I think taxes would help out as well. But for the most part, to fight on Canadian soil would be awesome. Doesn't matter where it is. The rule set, yeah, it would be great to see the new ones, but it doesn't really matter to me. I'm ready to fight whoever, wherever, whenever, however, whatever rules you want to switch up will be all right. But yeah, it would be awesome to get this win, get a short notice win, and then just keep it going for a month and a half and do it again in Canada. That would be ideal. That would be dream come true, and the year 4-0 and have a bunch of them in the UFC, a couple of short notice, get a renegotiation and start the year fresh. That would be an absolute dream. Definitely surreal, but it's been my whole life, shoot for the moon, shoot for the stars. If you miss, you end up somewhere between, whatever, right? So somewhere to do.
Yeah, and I heard you. I've been referencing this interview a few times, but I was enjoying watching it, and it was just a recent kind of account of how you're kind of seeing everything, just talking about, I guess, just everything coming up here with the fight and stuff like that, and just how Contender Series is almost a bit of a fine balance in a sense, like in as far as like you want to have an exciting standout effort, but you don't want to, I guess, fight recklessly. But I feel like just with your track record, I mean, I feel like it lends itself well to this kind of platform anyway, just getting like fairly quick, flashy kind of submission based finishes and just generally overall being exciting. So it would seem like if you just go out there and kind of just get in your normal, natural flow state, as it were, that it would lend itself well to this sort of platform.
Yeah, I think I have a very exciting style. I bring it. I always have. I don't back up. Wherever the fight goes, I'm okay. If I have an opportunity to make a big impression, I will. A couple times pick some guys up, carry them to the middle time on their head earlier in my career. A lot of great finishes towards the end of my career. I've had one or two boring performances, taking fight real short notice, being sick and stuff like that. So I didn't have the cardio to push, but I still had moments where I've made it exciting. I've always been a fan favorite. So this show suits me well for sure. I just do me and I'll be all right.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be an interesting fight. And just, yeah, I mean, your resume speaks for itself. Like you talk about the gamesmanship, just being ready to fight whoever. Like it's kind of interesting to look back on the fact that you were at one point supposed to fight Aljamain Sterling before he became the UFC bantamweight champion. So just really shows like your game to fight whoever, whenever, and kind of cool to, I guess, just look back on some of those things sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And just with saying that too, I ran into Aljo a little bit after when I was helping Malcolm in Vegas, and I told him if you need a training partner, I think he was fighting Peter Yan, so I'm here to help you. Let me know. We talked. You remember me? And then just yesterday, he was at the gym again, and the day before that, I got around there with Marab. Then my student Bilal's here as well. He also trained Marab, and then Aljo as well. So it's crazy to see these guys. They made it. I should have been there. And I should have been right where they are. But in my eyes, I believe I belong, and so I will get what's mine.
Yeah, no, that's cool to hear that you had that interaction there and everything like that. Just yeah, cool sport in that kind of sense. Like you can just end up like training with people or interacting with people you either outright fought or were lined up to fight at one point. But I guess just kind of asking you like your vision for this fight. Like, do you have in your mind some sort of crystallized idea of the kind of finish that you think we'll have in this fight? I mean, just I feel like some fighters practice that visualization and have a recurring idea of all of that and everything. Is that something that you kind of practice a little bit? Like, do you have, I guess, a reoccurring idea of how you see this fight ending?
Uh, yeah, no, I never really predict fights. I always bring it, and this guy does too, right? So, I mean, could it be quick for sure? One way or the other. Like I said, I'm well rounded. This guy, two fights ago got knocked out. I throw pretty hard. I touch people, so a lot of opportunities, a lot of things can happen. Um, I don't really see how it's going to play out, but for sure it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, your track record definitely speaks to that for sure, man. It's been cool getting to do these different interviews over the years and get a little bit of time ahead of this exciting opportunity and this big fight. But I do want to be mindful of your time. I know you have some training coming up in a bit and just juggling a lot of different things in general. So curious if maybe there was a final parting thought of any kind you were wanting to add as we were wrapping up, Michael. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, no worries, man. There's a lot of things that happen, and a lot of things happened since the last interview. Um, this month is a crazy month for me. 3 years ago, I had my buddy Kyle Boom Reyes, who went for bicycle. He ended up passing away. He went to a coma. Or 2 years ago, Paulo Kekovic, he had brain tumors and ended up being diagnosed with cancer. Went back home to Croatia and just a couple of days ago ended up passing away. Big time supporter, always there for me. Then I got this fight on the 20th. I got my son's birthday on the 28th, and I got mine on the first. So a lot of different emotions. A lot of things to live up to. I got a lot of people following and supporting. So I just got to do what I got to do best, and definitely a lot of emotion going into it. And you can expect to see the best version anybody's ever seen of me, and it's gonna be great. I want to thank all the people at Syndicate MMA. Big John Wood, the Shapiro brothers for letting me drop in class, helping me out. All the training partners there. I'm a stranger. I'm out of town, and they just welcome me with open arms, and they just jump in the rounds, and whether they give it or take it, but they push me. They help me cut the weight. They help me stay sharp. And I really appreciate that. Great group of people over there. And then obviously everyone back home, all the support. It just, it's amazing, and I can't wait. And I got a few teammates out here, my coaches. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for all of it, and I can't wait to see what we have next.
Yeah, well, my condolences to your friend. I mean, that's always terrible when that kind of illness takes hold, and just yeah, condolences to all of his loved ones that were affected by that. But I'm sure you'll do them proud by your performance in this upcoming fight, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, Contender Series is tough with the tickets, right? So I mean, this guy just he's gonna have the best seat in the house, right? So I got two gangsters up there, and I got my two coaches in my corner, and I got all my boys that are a couple boys that are local. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. Thank you for your time as always. I really appreciate it. And, talk again for sure.
Yeah, I would like that, man. I'm excited for this August 20th fight against Cortavious Romious. I'm sure if your track record is any indicator, it'll be a very entertaining fight, but all the best in the final few days of the preparations. And thanks so much for taking some time with MMA Canada. And you have a good rest of your day, Michael. Thank you.
Appreciate you as well, Don. Thank you.